Hi and good evening. My name's Alex. I'll give you a little wave because there's four of us sat here. I just want to introduce Harriet. Harriet joined us in 2020 as a graduate. We've got Ian. Ian joined us in 2017.
Yeah.
He's on the degree apprenticeship scheme. And Nikki behind us is here to make sure that I don't say anything I shouldn't do. And part of the reason that we've got Harriet and Ian with us is that, well, frankly, I'm as old as your parents. I've worked here for 25 years. And I thought it was better for me to spend a little bit of time talking about engineering and how I got into it, but then hand over to Harriet and Ian, who hopefully can tell you what it's really going to be like for you guys, because they've both much more recently than me been through it. So that's our plan of attack over the 20 minutes. We're lucky enough to work at Jaguar Land Rover. Hopefully you are familiar with those products, and certainly the video hopefully brought that to life. There's 40,000 plus people that actually work for Jaguar Land Rover. There's 10,000 engineers. We all work in the engineering department, and the electrical, electronics and software team is 2,000 people. And that's a global team of 2,000 people. In fact, it's a global engineering team. We have engineering locations. We're sat here joining you in Warwickshire, in Gaydon in the Midlands. But we also have an engineering centre in Manchester, an engineering centre in Shanghai, an engineering centre in Portland in the US, an engineering centre in Shannon in Ireland, and an engineering centre also in Hungary, which is in Budapest. And so we are very much a global engineering firm. We sell cars in 180 different countries around the world, and in a normal production year, we'd build in excess of 600,000 cars. You may be familiar that there's a bit of a silicon crisis going on in the electronics industry at the moment, which is certainly hindering our volumes somewhat, and that's a global issue as an outcome of the COVID pandemic. But as a place to work, it is fantastic. But perhaps before I'm talking about Jaguar Land Rover, I'd actually first like to start talking about engineering and why I'd love you all to get into engineering. I think first and foremost, if you like to create things, if you like to problem solve, and if you like to work with teams of people interrogating data, forming views, and then making something from it that manifests itself into a product, a vehicle, or into a service associated to that vehicle, then get into engineering. It is unbelievably rewarding. I have been here for 26 years now. In fact, I've probably said this on the day you guys joined. Whilst I've been here for 26 years, it feels like 26 months. It doesn't seem 2 minutes since I joined, because of the opportunities you have to go around the world, make things, and drive products forwards. And that is so true of any engineering activity. It's the best thing in the world to be involved in engineering something and creating something, and then you see that product in the marketplace, be it a car, be it some part of a house, be it an air conditioning system, be it a piece of software electronics that enables an app to work on one of these phones that I'm sure you all have. It's brilliant. So I can't encourage you any more than that. Moving close to home to automotive, why should you move into automotive? It is going through an absolute transformation. The industry's been around over 100 years now, and for the first 100 years, we had combustion engines, and we put them into cars, and then we grew out those cars to look more cool, have more features, go anywhere, obviously with Land Rover, go and win all sorts of races with Jaguar. And that's how it's been for 100 years. And then about 10 years ago, the automotive industry has started to transform into something that's much, much closer to technology industries. And we have an acronym. In fact, we love acronyms in automotive engineering. In fact, JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, is what we all refer to ourselves as. And we have an acronym for the automotive industry and the change that we're going through, and that's called ACES. And ACES is about four things. It's about autonomy, automated and assisted driving vehicles that can drive themselves, make your life safer and give you time back. Connectivity, having a seamless connection between how you interact with devices at home and devices in the car and devices as you leave the car and go to your place of journey, place of arrival. Your ability to be able to interact with your vehicle as a device through one of these. So I can remotely start my engine, I can preset the climate, I can tell it that I want it to charge the battery between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. because that's when I'm going to get cheap electricity. That sort of connectivity is massively important. We then have electrified. So this is all about the electrification. So we're moving from combustion engines into electric propulsion, so batteries and electric drive units. That is fundamentally changing the CO2 consumption of the car, but it's also transforming the performance of the car. That instantaneous torque that you get from electrified engines is mind-blowing. And that is driving a complete change in the way an automobile handles. You know, 20 years ago, Jaguar would have sold themselves on a 0 to 60 time and a top speed and probably a range of fuel. As all the automotive industry moves to propulsion, no longer is 0 to 60 time as relevant, because actually that instantaneous torque just gives you harmonizes the performance of all vehicles. So therefore we have to differentiate, which is where the connected and the autonomous piece comes in within automotive. And then the final part of ACES is S. So S for shared. And that's actually the method by which people are purchasing cars and how they are using cars. And you know, we are getting all sorts of new entrants into the automotive industry, be it from the west coast of America, be it from out in China or many other places around the world. And that activity is also driving a different business models so that people use our cars in different ways. And the way they share their cars, the way they lease the cars, the way they hire the cars by the hour, by the minute, is changing all of the time. And we have to be there to respond to that. We have to be there to make sure that we've got an app that you can log into because you've just landed in, I don't know, New York, and you want to go and drive a Jaguar or a Land Rover. Those sorts of features and functions and that ability to share vehicles anywhere in the world is all around how people are using our vehicles. Now, whilst we are going through a massive amount of change and a massive amount of re-engineering of our products, we have to obviously make sure that we attract the brightest talent. And in trying to attract really bright talent, we have to implore to you guys and say, well, hopefully you aspire to own our products. Hopefully you want to be involved in creating the next device in a car, the next Jaguar, the next Land Rover. And that hopefully is something that as you see them driving past you on the roads, you go, do you know what, that's a cool car. I'd really, really like to go and work on that. And even after 25, 26 years here, I can say that I still get the hairs on the back of my neck standing up as a car drives past me and I go, hey, do you know what? I worked on that car. That is one of the best feelings in the world. And that's something that's specialist about the automotive industry. because it's a thing that's seen anywhere in the world. I can go anywhere in the world, talk to anyone. I say I work for Jaguar Land Rover. You are pretty much guaranteed that they will know what a Jaguar or a Land Rover is, and at some point they'll have some connection to it, and suddenly you'll get talking to them, and then the rest of the conversation goes from there. So at that point, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to hand over to Harriet, and Harriet's going to tell you a bit about being a grad and how to become a grad at JLR. Harriet.
So I am a second year graduate engineer. I joined the company last year after graduating university. I studied electronic and electrical engineering at university, and also did an undergraduate placement with Jaguar Land Rover back in 2018 to 19. For me, engineering was something that I was always interested in because I love maths. I was good at maths and I found it interesting. And for me, engineering kind of became the route that I wanted to go into when my granddad bought me my first Land Rover Defender, 1948 Defender, when I was 15. And so we didn't even have an engine in it when we bought it. So I kind of said to myself, I want to work for Land Rover one day, to be part of the team to create the new generation of cars. And actually, similar to what Alex was saying about joining a business and saying, I worked on that car. My first vehicle line that I worked on my undergraduate placement was actually the new Defender, which was a huge thing for me because it was the one car that made me say, I want to work for Land Rover. So in terms of how I got into JLR was through the undergrad scheme. I was at university, wanted to take a sandwich year, so we take a year out. I applied for the early careers team, and there was various undergrad placements that were available. Could have either done 3 months, 12 months, or 15 months through different departments, whether that was electrical or mechanical or manufacturing. And then I was offered the job, and then from then I was then offered a graduate job, hence where I am now, where I currently work in electrical. And the best thing I found about the graduate scheme is that you're able to rotate around to find other areas that you might be interested in. And I'm actually currently working in electrical launch, where I'm working over in Solihull, developing and testing the new Range Rover that we're hopefully going to be showing the world.
The super top secret one that no one allowed to talk about.
Yeah. So that's been absolutely amazing to not only be involved in creating a car that people haven't even seen yet, but be able to have another car that drives past me on the road and I can go, I worked on that. So yeah, working for JLR is an amazing company. You've got opportunities coming at you left, right and centre, and it's just an opportunity that you can't turn down when you've been offered it. So yes, that's all from me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Harriet. Ian.
Yeah, I'm Ian. I'm 22, so I've been with JLR for 4 years now. I started straight out of sixth form at 18, so I applied year 13, start of year 13, I think. Applications, I think, are open in January for the degree apprenticeship. So I applied here. I've got a place at Birmingham University to do mechanical engineering, but I chose not to do that. Couldn't turn down Jaguar Land Rover and to learn on the job. I think it's a great opportunity. So I've been here for 4 years. It's a great experience to be part of such a big team, developing new cars. One of the great things about being an apprentice is you're learning on the job. So as well as going to university, you get to work as well. And don't get me wrong, it's hard, but you get the best out of it, because university is good, but then the work you do at JLR will apply to uni and you see it in real life. So it's not all theory, which is great. And there's so many opportunities. So I started in a CAD team, so computer aided design, and it was great. It was good, but I knew it wasn't where I wanted to be. I wanted to be more hands-on. And the apprenticeship gives you the opportunity to go and see so much more of the business. So I've been working in off-road, I've done vehicle testing, and now I found myself in the assisted and automated driving team, which is where I'm now working on radars. So yeah, there's so many placements you can do throughout Jaguar Land Rover, and it's a really good place to be. I know people who have been on test trips abroad. I mean, people who have been to launch at Nitra where we made our the new Defender. So there's plenty of opportunities around, and I'd really encourage people to get involved. I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. I kind of knew engineering was kind of where I wanted to be. So I applied for I obviously had my place at uni, but I came to this and I've never really looked back. It's been great. There's so many opportunities to get involved in multiple different things. Engineering is not just one topic. There's so many other things going on in software. There's actually, you can get your hands dirty and get on cars and things like that. So it's a really interesting place to be.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ian. So I guess hopefully that gives you a flavour of two routes into first of all engineering, and both of these routes apply not only to JLR but any engineering industry that you want to get into. But I guess a final bit of PR from me, I guess, or plea to all of you, is that we'll be recruiting about 500 early careers people during 2022, both through the degree apprenticeship and also as a postgrad. And if you love creating, problem solving, working in teams, and love cars, please come and join us, because you will not look back. Thanks very much.